Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are a comedian, an actor, a writer, Damian Callinan.
Hello, mate.
Oh, sorry, I should have given you a heads up to say hello after that. How are you? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
My absolute pleasure.
So I usually like to start off the podcast, Damien, with a little bit of a compliment to the guests, because it has been mentioned in the past that I bring on these super talented people and then basically get them to talk about their absolute lowlights of their career.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is not what I want to do.
So you're going to pump up my tyres before you slowly let them down.
Oh, slowly.
Or I let them down myself.
Or stick a knife into them and completely explode them and write them off. Yeah, either.
Either of it, yeah.
But I'll be honest with you. I was a bit hard pushed to choose one compliment for you. I mean, far out, mate. Calm down with everything for a start. I mean,
calm down, yeah.
Like actor, writer, published author, comedian. I genuinely love The Merger. It's one of a fucking good Australian film. But I'm probably gonna say congrats on all of the accolades that the Emu Awards getting just now.
Yeah,
we've had quite a few friends of the show on. That I mean, Lisa Feinberg, Jay Morrison. Aaron Gox, Ben Knight. I mean, Ben Russell as well. I think.
Yeah. He played my son.
Oh yeah, nice. Even I think your makeup artist Tanya as well.
Well, you're going through the cast.
I didn't even realise half of them were in it. I'll be honest with you. But
there are some people who don't realise they were in it.
Good. So we can cut that for legality if we need to. There.
I don't think their legal team is their strongest side. To be honest, Hot Dad Productions.
Working in the arts, the entertainment industry, you can't afford a legal team anyway. So
yeah.
But so if you got any idea of when that might be coming out to the
look, I actually asked Lisa recently, and she mentioned something about the last weekend in June.
Oh, okay.
But I found out about it premiered at the Monster Fest
down here
October last year.
Yeah, in Melbourne and I think Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney, Perth. Yeah. I think they did about 5 capitals with that fest, and they won Best Film, which was great.
I know, amazing.
But I got the invite to that, and that's how I found out it was a film.
Because it was originally, let's see, it started off as a short film, went to a web series, and then became a feature.
That's
that
right. Yeah. So, it was made as a web series. Okay. There was discussion along the way that actually this could work as a film.
Yeah.
But I actually only found out that it was real when I got invited to the premiere and I saw my face in the middle of the poster. I went, okay.
And then that's when
I'm
lawyers
the lead
got
in a
onto
feature
them.
film.
Was it?
Sorry?
The lawyers got onto them after that and this entire legal battle. That's why it's taking so
we've
long
been,
to come out.
We can't... they can't be in a room with me.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
No, I did feel they're absolutely fantastic. Those guys,
lovely, lovely people.
I must admit, at the launch we did a Q&A afterwards, and it just kind of turned into war stories from the filming, literal war stories.
I think there's been a few of these stories mentioned on the podcast as well. Yeah. I don't know if you have any. You're welcome to share them. I don't know if they've been done today.
Well, I'm happy to. Well, I suppose the one that I ended up divulging was one of the last. When I say the last days of shooting, there was about 5 or 6 shoot periods because of COVID and
of course,
and so on. But we were shooting in I think it was like a panel beaters in West Heidelberg.
Oh yeah,
in the middle of an industrial estate.
Oh, wonderful.
Earlier in the day, there was an altercation between 2 truckers involving wheel braces being taken out of cars and stuff.
Holy, nothing to do with the film.
Nothing to do with the film.
Oh wow,
but certainly genuine action out in the street. But anyway, we were shooting the orgy scene, which was me, Ben Knight, and Jonathan Schuster.
Yeah,
basically,
great.
My character came up with the idea to help melt the prison bars. They'd have an orgy.
Oh, I mean, makes perfect sense.
Absolutely perfect sense. And at the time, we just went, okay, but we're in this concrete floor covered in grease, covered in hay.
Oh, lovely.
With a flame bar.
Oh, wow.
And we're all in nude. We're in the nude except for kind of like,
the
flesh-coloured
modesty garments?
Well, it wasn't modesty socks, thank God.
Okay.
They were just like flesh-coloured bike shorts.
Right, okay.
Essentially.
Oh, so a little bit
Yeah.
less embarrassing.
A little bit.
Not embarrassing,
No.
but less embarrassing.
So they start off thinking, all right, we're going to cover you guys in coconut oil. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then they proceed to say, right, we just need you to do a whole bunch of weird sex positions, and most of which revolved around the incredibly cut and fit bed
Yep.
at night, picking people up and turning them upside down. But Noddy had just had a hernia operation,
Oh shit, that's right. He did say,
keyhole,
yeah.
and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, and they're going, "Oh, well, can you just do a handstand?" And I said, "Mate, if you do a handstand, we can't hold each other's legs because we're
Yeah.
covered in coconut oil." And
yeah.
let's just say there was no intimacy coordinator on set.
Yep, fair enough. Well, not fair enough, but
So I took on the role of
Yep.
just going. I basically choreographed some achievable
Yeah, nice.
sex positions.
I've always
Under the
achievable
circumstances.
sex positions is such an interesting term. It could be the name
really
of my
was.
autobiography, but yeah.
I'm not saying I was the most sexually experienced of the
Yeah.
three, but I was probably the most invested in not getting hurt.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. So we did all that, and I, you know when you do a scene, you go, this is just going to be blurred, got a bit
Yeah.
of background,
Yeah.
and which it was.
But
Anyway, we finish, so we're just literally standing there covered in oil, coconut oil and sump oil, hay,
yes.
whole bit, and then I went, all right, so are there like towels and stuff upstairs? And they went, and Tanya, the maker,
Yeah.
she'd knocked off for the day, so she wasn't even there.
Far out.
So I went upstairs, and all that was left was there were 2 wipes left in a baby wipe thing,
Like the
container. just
makeup
2 left.
wipes.
So
yeah.
so not even enough for all 3 of us.
Well, not enough for one of you, I'd say.
No towels.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Not even-
So I just had to put my clothes on over the top of that and then drive home. Thankfully, it was not far home. But
Well,
so
I mean,
yeah,
that's nice.
like I said, I felt bad telling that story on stage, and now I've told it on a podcast. So sorry, Lisa.
That's all right. Look, they've spoken about the shooting at length, I'll be honest.
Oh man, it was so much fun.
It's-
It was such
yeah.
a great thing to be involved in.
Nobody had a negative word to say about it. Just plenty of interesting stories, let's say.
Interesting stories.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that. Also, I fucking hate putting my regular clothes back on over anything that I've had to, like, have on my body as far as shoots go. So that, that would have been such an uncomfortable drive home.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Did they at least pay for the dry cleaning after that as well? How dare they? All right, Lisa and Jay, if
Yeah.
you're listening, all right?
Yeah, I just threw those clothes out.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Honestly,
So,
I mean, cool. I'm very excited. It's a weird thing to say. I'm very excited to see the film after you've just told me there's an orgy scene in it.
Yeah.
But I was excited beforehand. Just more excited now, I suppose.
Well, we can find the timestamp so you can just
yeah, beautiful. If you can just
move
send
through
me
it.
that,
Yeah, just go through
perfect.
it.
Thank you. And anyone else that wants to know as well, please just DM Damian as well.
Yeah, he'll
happily
tell you exactly
send you it.
what parts of the film to avoid.
Or just send them it straight through in
Yeah.
a GIF if anyone wants to make one of that. So I usually have my go-to questions as well as far as comedians and actors go. Just with the usual things. I mean, we all have to do it. Unfortunately, you've got your TV commercial auditions, which is just awful for the most part for acting.
Okay.
And then you've got, as far as comedians go as well, your corporate gigs. I was wondering if you had anything particularly memorable from TV commercial auditions or auditions in general, but it's always the TV commercials.
I wasn't going to dip into that oeuvre, but you've just reminded me. This was actually for a musical audition.
Nice. Like for a stage musical?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And let's just say I've got a number of strings to my bow, but despite being a massive music fan, I'm not particularly musical. Like I've got what's called dickhead bravado. So if I'm in a play and I have to sing, I'll sing.
Yeah.
And, give it a go.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
But, despite, I'm a good dancer. Like, I've got that threat.
Yeah.
Got the rhythm, but music, not my strong bow. Yeah. Anyway, I got asked to audition for Spam-A-Lot.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Monty Python musical. Very nice.
So I think it was, anyway, I can't remember. I have a feeling the first production was out here, but I might be wrong. Anyway, there were Broadway and West End people in the room, like one of those, the ones, the really long table
panel,
auditions.
Yeah. You're just standing there
people,
by yourself.
and you go, well, obviously the most important people are in the middle,
Yep.
but usually the nicest people are on the outside.
Yeah, because they're the ones that you're not looking at. They're the ones smiling. The people in the middle aren't making eye contact at all.
At all.
Yeah.
And I had to prepare a song of any kind. I just had to prepare any song.
So not even a musical song?
Not even
just
from
anything?
the musical.
Yeah, right, okay.
And I had to do I learned 3 scenes, I think it was.
Yeah.
So obviously I invested most of the time into the musical part because it's not my thing.
You have to. Yeah.
So I got a mate who's a pianist, and she actually helped me choose a song that was potentially in my range. She said, I think it'd be good if you did a character.
Okay.
thing. So I
Yep.
did If I Were a Rich Man from Fiddler on the Roof.
I was going to ask, it was either that one or Mr. Cellophane from Chicago. They're the two character actor ones that are
Yeah,
always
right.
like, you can sing okay,
Sing okay.
but yeah, they're the go-tos.
Yep. So and she said to me at the end of it, and we spent a few hours, and she said,
Yeah,
"Look,
nice.
they're probably, just so you know, it won't sound like I've done it. Like
Okay.
it'll sound different at the beginning. They'll
Yep.
they'll have their own way of playing the music.
Or like
so
the-
don't get thrown.
The accompanist in the room on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll hand them the sheet music and they'll do their own thing with it,
Yeah.
and it'll probably throw you. And I went, oh, okay. Well, how different can it be? Heaps different,
Yeah.
as it
Oh.
turns out.
Oh.
So they said the dreaded words when I walked in. We'll start with the song. Yeah, great. I said, and I just decided right from the beginning, I just went in with ticket, but I just went, great. I was hoping you'd say that. Because
That's right.
You're going to love
Confuse
this.
them. Yeah.
So I went over, handed the music to the guy, and the pianist felt like he was a kilometre away. It was this massive rehearsal space in the Victorian Ballet Centre.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah.
Those
It's
rooms
massive.
are just, I mean, you have to fit in like 50 performers in them, but
Yeah,
when
I
it's
guess
just
so.
you,
When it's just you, it's awful.
yeah.
And also, when I'd arrived, there's all little booths where people can practice their singing and stuff. So there's all these people in different rooms. I can still just hear them through them going, oh my
Yeah.
God, they're all like proper singers.
These people can do this. Shit.
Singers. Doing scales and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Anyway, so he started playing, barely recognisable.
Oh.
I couldn't pick up like when I was supposed to come in.
Oh, shit.
And
Okay.
he did it 3 times, and each time I go, and I just kept blaming him. Come on, mate, so get your shit together. This is an important. This is an important thing for me. Just go, and we'll go, and where? No, you I don't know what you're doing, mate. I just kept
blaming?
I just kept blaming him.
Okay.
In a way that was obvious that it was my fault.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Not
We weren't trying to ruin his
just
career.
kind of go. Come on.
Yeah. Cool.
What? Where'd you get this guy?
Yeah.
Like completely my fault. Owning that was my mistake, but just anyway. On the third go, I got in, and I got about halfway through
Okay.
the
That's
song,
better than not starting at all.
and then I kind of lost my way again, and then kind of went, all right, and again, anyway, and then I kind of just went, anyway, something like that, and I said, do you want me to do it again? And the guy just went, we've heard you sing. So I knew I didn't have it at this stage, so I just went, all right, let's just have fun. So you want to see the scenes? Yeah, let's see some scenes.
Oh, but they still let you do
Yeah,
the
they
scenes,
let me
which
do
was
the
nice.
scenes. So that's good. And God, I mean, Bernard Curry was the reader on the day. And so Bernard's there with about 12 scripts in front of him.
Yes.
Because different people had
Of course.
learned different scenes. And so, which scenes do you want to do? And I said, let's do the French taunting.
Yep.
And he was taking ages trying to find the script. And I said, come on, mate, these people are busy.
Yeah.
I've got 8 other musical auditions today, so can we hurry
right?
this along? And so I did the scenes, and they were fine. And then, but I was just like, let's get out of here. So I got about halfway to the door, and then I hear the pianist like meekly say, your sheet music?
Oh,
So I had to cross the room to go all the way across the desk
that
to
kilometer
get to
long
them.
room.
And and I said, oh, thank God it reminded me, because I'm about to do a Les Mis
Yeah.
audition after this, and that broke even the hard
Oh, really?
asses on the desk.
At least you made them laugh, right?
did, yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, but still cold sweats. When
Yeah.
you know.
How was Spamalot as well when you
I
performed
saw it. Yeah, it was
oh,
good.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, one of my mates played. Stephen Hall played one of them. He played
Oh,
all the John
yeah.
Cleese roles, and he played John Cleese in the Fawlty Towers
Yeah, that's great.
tribute as well.
It's always nice when your friends get stuff. I mean, it'd be nicer if you got it as well, but maybe a blessing in
I think
disguise
it's a
as well.
blessing in disguise, really, for everyone. It's
Yeah.
just, he's
For the
funny, but
audience.
what's he doing when he?
Yeah, maybe it can be part of the character,
Yeah.
right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose unless you have any more audition stories, I'm always so happy to hear them.
Yeah.
But I need to ask about the corporate gigs as well, as far as comedy goes.
Yeah.
I'm not a comedian myself, but I love hearing about them.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. We've all. Yeah, this is one you don't have to worry. There's plenty to pull from.
Yeah, perfect.
Look, this is the one that I've probably told the most. I actually even sometimes tell it when I'm doing, school workshops and stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Because they love hearing the war stories.
I think
I love hearing about how you have got to where you are, but
Yeah.
also people,
it's like
their fear of comedy
Yep.
makes telling one of these stories just so gripping for them.
I think especially when like kids can see
Yeah.
someone that's so accomplished, but they're like, oh no, they're human. They have terrible days
that's
as well.
right. And I'm more than happy to share those.
Well, and I appreciate that for the podcast.
Yeah. Well, this one was interesting because the booking came off the back of like an incredibly successful corporate gig.
Yeah, nice.
It was at the British Lions playing the Wallabies.
Yeah, wow. The rugby team. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So this was the 2001 tour
Okay.
in Melbourne at
Yep.
Docklands. And I do a character called Troy Carrington, who
Yep.
is he's the principal character in the Merger film, but he's
Yeah.
been a part of several of my solo shows, and I perform him in a corporate setting quite regularly.
Yeah, nice.
Sporting nights, and the great thing about him is he works. The character's conceit is essentially he sounds like your atypical sportsman's night footballer that poorly educated country, but he's anything but. He's actually quite enlightened and culturally aware, and
Yeah.
so his footy trip stories are, not going to Bali, they're doing the Mozart Trail from Prague to Vienna,
yeah.
and doing a Mary McKillop pilgrimage, and
Which, yeah, even
shit
saying
like
that
that.
stuff, I'm like, wow, fuck. I definitely don't know what either of those things are.
so yeah, it's kind of interesting watching half the audience just lose their mind, and the other half just going, he sounds like us.
He's not
But anyway, I
talk
did.
like us.
So he was born to perform at a thing
Yeah.
like the British Lions, well, because rugby union fans are traditionally more educated.
Yeah, you're, especially like British as well, yeah.
So I did Troy, and it went off. And I was doing another character later in the night, who in hindsight I probably wouldn't do again. He was a South African cross-dresser.
Oh, okay.
South African rugby player
Yeah.
who cross-dressed, but slowly revealed his predilections at the time over the course of his speech.
Yeah.
Like a hard-ass guy who'd grown up on the veldt. But,
So the real like
with
bait
his
and
father,
switch.
put him in the boot of his car.
Yeah.
On the way, it was the only way he could take me to training if he was on the boot of the car.
I tell you what, as a man with a funny accent myself, South African really does lend itself to comedy.
It does, yeah. So I did him, and the first gig went so successful. It's always tricky doing two spots at a corporate because, if you die in the first one, you've got to front up again.
Oh,
but the first one went so well. When I appeared the second time, the crowd stood and started cheering. That's how well it went. I was like, okay, this is good. So the second bit was I hadn't done as often.
Yep.
But it still landed. Anyway, at the end of the gig, Robbie Kearns, former Australian hooker, and vice captain of the Wallabies in their golden era, he approached me and just said, mate, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I'm going to get you.
Holy shit.
My wife she runs this big Christmas function in Sydney.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you for that. So I kind of almost forgot about that. I got booked for it, but it wasn't the same thing. It was a stand-up gig. It wasn't it wasn't appropriate to do the characters. And
I'm going to presume it wasn't for a union team.
no, it was 2,000 IT workers.
Oh.
All being rewarded by a parent company.
Oh.
So there's a Hewlett-Packard table, there's an Epson table, there's a Canon,
Not to
and they're
generalise,
all
but
just being
different crowds.
different crowd, and they're not connected.
Yeah.
So, but 2,000 of them, and I was on really late, and they were maggoted, and it was sponsored by Bacardi, and there were all these. This is in the early noughties. I don't know if you remember that period of it was like a glow mesh top that women wore that kind of looked like a glow mesh handbag had been cut open.
Yeah.
And just put it around their neck.
Yeah.
A lot of side boob.
Yep.
So they're walking around
Like shot girls or whatever they were at the time, or promo girls.
promo girls,
Yeah.
absolutely that. So they're walking around handing out Bacardi breezes to
Yep.
already drunk people in wearing almost nothing.
Yeah.
And I come on way too late.
Yep.
I was almost on, and they introduced some kind of weird auction thing, which just diluted the attention of the audience.
Yep.
So the MC introduced me, and normally when you get introduced, the crowd noise goes down, but the noise level went up.
Oh, that's impressive.
Just up, as in we don't care.
Wow.
So I'm on stage. My face has been projected onto the sides, and I start trying to get their attention, just do a material. Getting nothing. There was a few people on the tables down the front who, just by sheer proximity, we kind of went, okay, there's something happening.
Yeah.
And we're vaguely polite. But there was just whole tables of people just talking. I'm not even there, basically.
Yeah.
So eventually I go, well, I can't. This won't do. I've got to try and get their attention. So I went, come on, guys.
Yeah, right.
Just give me a chance. Or, just be quiet for a bit.
Yeah. How did that go?
And then this woman just kind of like, I could see her because she was silent. She wasn't even.
Yeah.
She hadn't been listening, but she heard that and she went, well, I would, but you're not funny.
Oh,
So I was
that's
like,
rough.
oh, okay. And then the table next to her, all blokes, they all started laughing. And I don't know to this day what I said, but I just started ripping into that table of blokes. So that I'm not going to go you, but I'll go them. So I went them, and I got big laughs out of it. I still don't know what I said, but it's like, okay. It was like, okay, he's got some skills.
Yep.
So I rip into these blokes, just start playing them off each other, work out what company them, start ramming their company. And then go, all right, okay, I've got something to work on. So then I went back to material. As soon as I went back to material, the noise just lifted again.
Yeah, that's what you hear so many. These kind of corporates, nobody's there to see comedy, obviously. They're there to get rat arsed, essentially. Yeah. But if you start bullying their co-workers, everyone's
on board.
Yeah.
So the next thing I did...
Oh, dear, where's this going?
So on every table, because it was a Bacardi sponsored function, there were... maracas. So Bacardi. So those little things that you shake that have got rice or whatever inside them, you shake them. And it's like a percussive instrument.
Yeah.
So there's a pile of those on every table as ornaments.
Okay.
Now I'm an ex-school teacher, and I just think, okay, group activity, just something to get everyone's focus.
Okay.
And so I hadn't thought it through, but I was panicking, and I just went, right, everyone, listen up. I want everyone to pick up the maracas on their table. And I just see people like school kids, they went, oh yeah, all right. They start, I consider them picking them up, and I go, okay.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, I'll do some kind of like cannon thing, or, some sort of, I don't know. Fuck, I honestly didn't know.
Yeah, okay.
I was still thinking through. I didn't really have time to think about it, because easily within 20 seconds, the first one came at me.
Wow.
So the guy from the table that I'd harangued just piffed one of the maracas.
Nice little projectile.
At the stage. And it was a good shot.
Yeah.
Didn't hit me, but I just matrixed back out of the way. It slammed into the curtain behind me.
Yep.
And then almost immediately another one.
Of course.
Another direction. And within, seconds, they're coming at me from every angle.
That is a lot of maracas.
There's a lot of maracas. And I'm holding the microphone.
Yeah.
And I was having to bat them away. Just like a duck and weave, and the crowd are going nuts. They're loving it.
I'll be honest, that's pretty impressive.
And I'm just there like this comedy, and I thought I'll just keep trying to do the jokes. So I just kept trying to do jokes. I'm just batting them away, just knocking them. There's one stage I did a particularly good matrix kind of duck under.
Very nice.
At this stage, I've been hit in the body, but not anywhere near the head.
Okay. Could be worse.
Could be worse. And then at one stage, one came straight at my face, and I put my hand up, and I caught it directly in front of my face. Huge roar, and then another one came almost the same instant. And with my microphone hand, I turned the microphone around, and I caught it with two fingers, and without dropping the microphone. And the crowd went absolutely nuts, like cheering, like people on their feet. And then after that, I could just see people running to other tables to rearm themselves. And I'm looking down the front, and the people on the front tables, they're kind of like ducking because they're...
Of course, they're in the fire line.
And I just went, guys, seriously, you need to stop this. I don't care about me.
Yeah.
But, you're going to hurt one of your friends. And the only way that I could disarm the moment was to basically leave the stage.
I mean, fair enough. And that's how long until a bottle of Bacardi Breezer comes up towards you.
Yeah.
I'll be impressed. Oh, first of all, I'm very impressed by the catches. I'm impressed you never got clapped in the face, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I had enough time, once I did actually get them all to stop.
Yep.
And I just said, I love this. You hate my jokes, but you're deeply impressed by how good I am at catching shit. And I go, yeah!
It's almost like a team building exercise.
I think I might have then tried to do a few more jokes, and I just went, all right, I think we're done.
Yeah.
And as I walked off stage, I got a standing ovation.
Yeah, wow.
I walked around the outside of the room, and there was some people apologising, and others high-fiving, and other people.
Not bad.
Not bad.
in the grand scheme of things.
But
It's also
I was in shock though. I kind of just
Yeah.
I walked around the outside, and my agent had been there.
oh
But I
wow.
don't think she was there by the end.
Okay.
I can't remember whether she left during the gig.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing her afterwards.
She threw one maraca was straight out of there.
And I wasn't with that agency for much longer after that, and it wasn't because of that. But and then I remember I just walked out of the gig and into a taxi, and I went to Sydney Airport, and I just went into Watermark Books,
Yeah.
and just was browsing. But I was so shell shocked, I missed my flight.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I just was like in this kind of weird zombie zone.
Trying to process what
And I
just
went,
happened.
Oh shit! I missed it by. I looked at my watch and it was like half hour after it left.
Shit. I mean,
So yeah,
again, it's a great. It could have been worse,
yes.
but not.
Let's go through the things that
Yeah.
could have been worse. I could have been physically injured. Someone
Yeah,
else
that's true.
could have been injured.
That's true. It could have had no laughs, no
yeah.
standing ovation.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to get a standing ovation for the jokes, obviously, but I mean, it's nice that people were that into what you were doing at some point anyway.
At some point into
Yeah.
something.
Into something.
Yeah.
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 It could have been an unpaid gig.
I think it was in the end.
Oh, okay, good
I
stuff.
think I can't. My memory is I didn't get paid, but I don't think we invoiced. I think I was like, let's just pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, but it's kind of worked for you in the. I mean,
Yeah,
not at
it's
the
a good-
time.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. Oh,
in the future
there were
years.
stories as they're happening. You know,
Yeah.
this is going to be people are going to love this.
Just need to get out if
But
you're
it was
alive.
pretty early in my career too, so I'd only been full time for maybe 2 years.
Oh, wow, yeah.
3 years. So, and I was at that point. You go through those stages in your career where early in your career where you go, okay, I'm bulletproof.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to have a bad gig again.
And
And
then
then you have that, and you go, okay,
and then you're petrified that every gig's going to be that gig from now on as well.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's nice to get it out of the way early in the
Get it out
career.
early. yeah, because it came from such a peak gig,
Yeah.
and then
Do you ever hear back from the
no,
wife?
and I don't think he wasn't even there on the day. He just
Yeah.
kind of like was the broker between me and his wife's company, and
Did the wife's company reach out afterwards?
no, like I said,
That's amazing. If that was, I feel like nowadays you'd have to at least say something to say you're not going to sue them for like, physical bodily
look,
harm.
I think that's the thing. It was 20 years ago. If
Yeah.
that happened now, yeah, there probably would be more
the time of-
OH&S concerns.
Yeah.
and maybe getting a counsellor in for me.
I mean, that sounds like a great. Well, you know what? All of it sounds like a great idea. Not having it happen, OH&S counselling. But yeah, so if anyone's listening, I mean, your time at throwing things at comedians is past, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, you've had your day.
Yeah, exactly. All the young people coming up nowadays.
I gave you 20 minutes in 2001.
Exactly. Just write
no,
mean things
that's
to them
it.
online instead now. That's the equivalent, I feel like. So we came in with some prepared stories as well.
Yeah, well, I was thinking I might tell that story anyway. So you've
Perfect. We went into it.
You've tripped that wire.
Nice. I said this before we started recording. Everything starts flooding back as soon as we start this podcast.
Yeah.
We've put up all these things as performers. We have to be so physically and emotionally available, and then bad things happen to us all the time. We just put up these barriers. So thank you for sharing.
Oh, that's all right. Well, this one's an interesting one because technically it ended up being one of the favourite gigs of my life,
Oh wow, yeah.
but it had every right not to be.
I haven't heard this story yet, but I don't mind that sometimes. But I don't know what the story is, so
Yeah,
maybe
well,
I'll save that till the end.
All right, so there's a fair bit of prefacing to do here. So in 2006, I did a show called Spaz Nuts.
Yep.
Which was a biographical show about my male infertility.
Yep.
About my infertility, but kind of male infertility.
Yeah.
And it went well. Like it won the Piece of Wood Award. I ended up touring it to Edinburgh.
Yeah,
To
fantastic.
the country with it. But it was the first time I'd ever really done deep biographical stuff, and it was like a deep dive because it involved revelations of sexuality and
Incredibly personal stuff, yeah.
You know, part of the story was the end of a marriage, and there was a whole lot to unpack. But essentially, it was a funny story, and it kind of came from a place of I had a lot of really funny stories about it.
Yep.
But also about I'd been a family group owned parent looking after state ward kids for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So just before I found out. So
Yeah.
I've been through this stage of being a faux parent.
Yeah.
Of really extremely wounded kids.
Of course, yeah.
With my wife
Yeah.
at the time, and then the discovery of infertility and all the things that happened after that. And then it was like a 10-year gap from when I'd found out to doing the show. And so then it was a whole bunch of research, me going back to the Royal Women's Hospital, getting my case file out, talking to physicians again and nurses and counsellors about the whole world. So it was a lot to unpack, but it was a really great show. And like all good personal shows since I've discovered, what happens with those is other people tell you their stories and becomes I
heard that from a lot of different
Absolutely.
people, yeah.
So that all said, I was booked to do the show by a mate. So it was a guy I went through uni with, and he was principal of a Catholic primary school up in Tallangatta in northern Victoria.
Oh, nice.
And Joe decided, and that year I'd also done a kids show called Babysitting, which also went well.
He didn't confuse the two?
Well, that was the thing.
Oh.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But it was I didn't realise, I'm doing a show about a kids show at the same time I'm doing a show about
Kids.
yeah. I did. This is a side story I'll quickly tell. Babysitting, the conceit was it was me, and I'd turn up thinking I'm babysitting 2 or 3 kids.
Yep.
And kind of starts with me kind of talking to their mum off camera, if you like, and she's sound effects of her, blah, 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 talking, and then she gets in her car, and I'm going, go, take your time, go shopping afterwards, have a coffee with your friends, blah, 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 I'll be fine, this is fine. And then I turn around and lose my mind because there's not 2 or 3 kids, there's 100 or 150 kids.
The audience,
whatever.
nice.
And then I'm like, why is your house so weird? Why are you all sitting in seats? Where's your bedrooms? Where are your toys? And I treat them all, parents, grandparents, babies, I treat them all like they're just this one large weird family who live in a very unorthodox setting.
Nice.
So then the whole conceit is me trying to haplessly go through a list of stuff that mum's organised, and then I disappear and come back as different characters.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was one day I was doing it, and it had been going really well, but the comedy official says, can you do a couple of weekday shows? But it wasn't school holiday. And I went, all right. They said, well, we'll market it to schools, but they didn't market it to schools.
Oh.
And so this day, I'm just about to start the show, and the front of house comes in. She goes, just to let you know, there's only 3 in the audience. This is like in a 250-seat
3 people
tent in a Federation, 3 people. And she went,
wow.
I said, okay. And the other kicker is there's no kids.
Wow.
It's just 3 blokes.
Separate? Were they together? Or were they
2 are together.
Okay.
1 is separate. So
wow.
Again, this gig had no right to work either.
Yeah.
So I said, do they still want to see it? And I said, they still want to see it.
Okay.
But of course, the conceit of the show doesn't even work.
No.
Because it's 3 kids.
Yeah.
Like adults or whatever.
You got one more child than you expected.
So I did the start of the show, and then I go turn around. There's 2 guys sitting down front, 1 guy right down the back corner.
Yep.
And I just went, all right, so let's just talk about this. So you guys really want to see this? And yeah, we want to see it. And I said, well, so the conceit of the show doesn't work because I'm supposed to be babysitting 3 kids and there are 3. So already the show's fallen apart before we've even really kicked off. And they go, that doesn't matter. We'll be right. I said, well, let's find out who you are. So I said, what's your story? And the guy goes, oh, I'm a children's book illustrator and I want to do school sessions. And I just thought I'd come and see how you dealt with kids. And I went,
wow.
Poor form. Wrong day.
Well, yeah.
I said, what's your story? He said, I'm his dad. I'm on holidays over here from Perth. Just got dragged along. All right. I go to the guy in the back corner. I said, what's your story? He said, I tried to get tickets to Spaz Nuts, but it was sold out. So I came to this instead.
All right. Well, you got an intimate show.
Man, and then it just turned into this most delightful kind of sheltered workshop as I just made these 3 guys just do ridiculous things.
Yeah.
And it went on. We did the whole show and all these other things involved. And in the end, the front of house had to physically come on stage and say, you need to stop.
Wow.
Like you're about 10 minutes over.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That sounds great, though. Again,
Yeah.
like you said, no right to work.
Yeah.
But that would have been a great
Well,
show
I
to
just
see.
need one of them to not commit to the idea.
That's true. Yeah.
But like, there's one bit where in the show I say to the kids, all right, everyone, you've had a good go. It's nap time. It's time for your nap. And of course, the kids just scream, oh, we're not going to sleep.
Yeah.
Lie down. Come on, lie on the floor. And a couple of them might.
Yeah.
But they're just naughty and defy me, which is exactly what I want.
Of course.
These guys, I went, right, it's time for your nap. They all just lay on the ground. And the old bloke went, it's actually good. My back's fucked. This is...
Tell you what, if somebody offered me a nap during a show, I would take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, sanction napping in shows.
Yeah, that's perfect. I fall asleep during ones that aren't meant to have naps in them as well, so this is perfect.
It is. So let's fast forward to Tallangatta, and
Yes,
I do the kids show during the day.
Spaz Nuts up there again.
Nuts,
Yep.
Yeah. So I do babysitting during the day in the main town, but then there's a place called Tallangatta Valley, which is like 40 minutes up in the mountains.
Okay.
For some reason, we're doing the other show up there.
Oh.
I've never quite got to the bottom of why that happened. But anyway, this is literally just a hall and a footy ground.
Yep.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And on the night, Joe, my mate, lived in a property about 10 k's out of town, middle of winter.
Oh.
So he says, there's a bus picking us up. I went, okay, like a mini bus.
Okay.
To bring the staff up. I've really got no idea. But I'd been there during the day to see the hall set up, and it was all fine. But then, so we're sitting in his paddock basher with the heater on, waiting for the bus to turn up, and then a 55-seat coach pulls up.
Wow. Okay.
And so, door opens, Joe and I and his wife get on, and it's full.
Oh.
And the middle aisle is just full of eskies, and there's just people just pissing on.
Oh, wow.
Like just already cut or half cut.
Yeah.
I look down the back, and there's people dressed as priests and nuns in
Okay.
fancy dress.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we're kind of looking around, and Joe's kind of frowning, and the bus kind of takes off, and then I go, so why is there... Sorry.
Yeah.
Why are there people in priests and nuns, and there's people asking around, going, "Do you know who they are?" You know, and eventually the school secretary's husband Graham just goes, they're from Tambangalamba. And everyone just goes, yeah, right, okay.
Okay.
Like that code that meant something to all of them, like just where they're from was explanation enough for them. But I'm still like, what's going on?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more info.
The priest comes staggering down the middle.
The full priest, we should say as well.
Priest. Yeah. There was a bishop as well, but he was asleep a lot of the time.
Oh, was he? Yeah.
From memory,
sanctioned nap.
There were 2 or 3 nuns, a priest, and a bishop. The bishop barely features in the story because he was having sanctioned naps.
Yeah.
And he did during the show later too.
Oh, did he? Oh, dear.
So he comes up to the bus driver and wants to tell jokes on the bus microphone.
Oh, okay, right.
And the bus driver goes, "No, mate, go back to your seat. I've already told you." So he's obviously been trying this.
Poor
and
bus
he staggers
driver.
back to his seat. And I notice he's not over endowed with teeth.
Okay.
This bloke. Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to be over endowed with teeth, but
Yeah, but he's certainly under endowed.
under endowed isn't ideal either.
Yeah. There were empty blocks of land where they once were.
Okay.
Yeah.
So less teeth than more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So anyway, we get to the hall, and I get there, and there's about another 50 or 60 people or more just drinking around burning bins.
Wow.
And,
okay.
I'm going, this is much bigger than I was expecting. Like 20 or 30 people in a tiny hall. So then I rush around, and everything's been set up during the day, so I'm just like rushing. And the show starts with me dressed as a IVF nurse.
Okay.
And I go out normally to an orderly queue of people and make an announcement and hand out sperm cups to all the men.
Okay. Oh, this sounds dangerous already.
And I always pick the biggest bull in the paddock
Yep.
and I give them like a bucket with a yellow lid on it.
Nice. Very nice.
So that's the start. But of course, they're all just like sitting around fires and drinking heavily. So, and that's one thing. If you'd asked me, what are your pre-show requirements? Drinking heavily around fire bins is not one of them.
Well, it's a weird thing to put in a rider, to be honest with you. But, I mean, you live and you learn now, so...
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's an all my right.
Yeah.
So then I get up on a table dressed as this nurse and I do the bit.
Yep.
But usually what happens then is the audience process in.
Oh, of course, yeah. This is the start of the show.
That's the start of the show. So I then go in through another door, rush around, get into my show costume.
Yep.
We never see the nurse again. And normally then it's like show starts.
Yep.
So I rush around, get dressed, and I can just I can hear a decided lack of any activity in the hall. And I open the curtains, not a single person in the hall.
Wow.
They're still outside drinking.
Of course.
And I go, fuck, all right. And then eventually I kind of managed to get the kind of tech to go, can you just go out and, wrangle?
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes back and he goes, yeah, they're coming in. He said, oh, by the way, there's a priest out here who wants to know if you can do some jokes. No, absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not.
I'm a little interested to hear what jokes he has now, but I can understand why as well.
Yeah, just get the show started.
Yeah.
So anyway, they all come in and there's not enough seats for people. So there's people standing around the walls. And it's like a 70-minute
Yeah.
story show.
And I'm going to presume it's not like live music as well. People aren't like meant to be mingling and talking during it. It's a show. Yeah.
It's a show. It's a show.
Yeah. Sit down, shut up, and listen. Yeah.
Anyway, when I walk out on stage, and I'm performing, I couldn't perform on the stage because it was just so full of shit. Like, there's some of those country halls. It's like it's got
It's
a
storage
piano
as well.
on it,
Yep.
and the Christmas tree and the raffle wheel, and
Of course.
but it wasn't stuff that you could easily move. And where the fuck do you put it? So I just went, I'll do it on the floor.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep.
Set the lights in front of it. So I'm performing down on the floor, and I get out, and the front row is the priests and nuns and bishop.
Oh, your favourite people.
Right in the front row. And so I start the show, and they're just up, and they're just yelling shit out. And I'm not really one of those comics. I mean, I know how to work a crowd, but I'm not into doing put downs and looking for that kind of stuff. But they were just at me, and I just went at them.
Yeah, right.
And the crowd fucking loved it.
Of course.
Like, they couldn't. Everything I said was like they'd never seen crowd work before.
Probably never seen a live show
before. These guys
before.
are genius, and so the more they did stuff, the more I put them down, the more the crowd loved it. But it was whack-a-mole because I'd get one down and then the other one would start, and everyone except the bishop, who was, as you said, almost asleep. Or
At least he was
despite this.
behaving himself.
Yeah. Take a leaf out of old Snoozies.
I know, right? Everyone else just drink that much or whatever else he's doing.
Anyway, eventually I just went, I just couldn't get the story going.
Yeah.
So I did that classroom technique of humiliate the nicest one, and then she'll not humiliate them, but plead. It's more like pleading to the nice one to go, get your people in order.
Yeah.
And it worked. She managed to, she was the nicest of them, and she had enough kind of moral awareness to go, okay, we need to stop. We've had a good go.
One of the nuns, was it?
Yeah, one of the nuns.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure which order.
Yeah, fair enough. You didn't get that from her?
Yeah, could have been Good Sam's.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good on her.
Yeah.
Getting the Catholics
Good
in line.
Samaritan of the fire. So anyway, I kind of got them quiet, which surprised me. Then they kind of just stopped completely. So happy days.
Impressive.
And so I get it about 10 minutes further into the show, but by this stage the show's already 20 minutes longer, and they've all been drinking heavily around bins.
Yep.
And the priest gets up and goes, "I'm gonna have a slash." Like, and literally, he had to walk across the stage to get to the toilet.
Oh, great!
So, like, he slapped me on the back as he walked past. All right, a slash. Yeah, good on you, father weak bladder.
Just praying he doesn't come back out the toilet.
Yeah, I thought, fuck, can we lock the door?
I mean, that would have killed, I presume.
Yeah, well, probably.
Or maybe killed him.
But
one
I
of
didn't
the
have
two.
time to, because him going for a slash just opened the floodgates for everyone else. And all of a sudden, everyone's just like going, they're all heading to the toilets. The side doors are opening to go and do a bush wee.
Oh, of course.
And so there's like 20 people on their feet. And I'm just going, it's not, there's no interval. Like, it's not, we're doing a show. You can't, like, so I kind of waited for all those people to settle. I said, no, anyone tried to get up? I go, no, don't get up. No. And they loved that. Got them all seated, did the show. And it was seriously one of the most fun shows I've ever done.
Yeah, right.
Like, the rest of the night, they stayed. I thought after I'd stopped slamming, giving an ecclesiastical whack every time one of the clergy started up. But yeah, no, they stayed with me. And
wow, that's genuinely impressive as well, honestly.
it was and surprising. So I get out, but it was relief. It was like, okay, you've run across the hot coals, and
I couldn't imagine doing it would be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
But afterwards, that would have been great. Yeah.
So I get outside, and of course, people just drinking heavily around bins again. So I joined.
Great, of course.
So I joined them.
Nice.
And there's one bit of the story I haven't mentioned. On the bus on the way there was a guy on the bus who is a brother of a good friend of mine from uni days. And he'd been living in Japan for 10 years. And this was like his first cultural experience back from a decade in Japan.
Wow, welcome home.
He and I are looking at this whole thing from the same outsider's perspective.
Yeah.
And Owen was a lovely man. And we ended up in a conversation once everything settled down on the bus on the way there with these two single mums who are having a night out.
Oh, lovely.
And they were really good company and lovely, and we're having a good chat to them. And so anyway, so I end up with Owen, and by this stage Owen's had a few drinks during the show, so he's kind of loosened up a bit.
Yep.
And we're standing around one of the burning bins with a lot of farmers.
Yep.
And Owen's just going, my God, Damian, it's just so impressive to be there to witness a man just owning his sexuality and sharing his problems in a way that doesn't make them feel like problems. And it's just like, it's so refreshing. And he's just kind of like eulogizing. He's going, like, I just think that we should all take a leaf out of that. Like, as men, what do you reckon, fellas? Silence. The rest of the farmers are just like,
look, silence is not the worst thing to happen there.
Yeah, but proper country silence.
Yeah,
like just.
Oh, you can hear the cicadas. Yeah.
And of course, country people eventually it'll break. Yeah, and there was a woman in the circle, and she just went, "So, Damien, have you got any kids?"
She is comedy gold right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just like, I just went, no, I don't. And then I went, I'll go to the bar. And as I go to walk off, I get slapped on the back again by the priest.
Oh.
And the priest turns me around, and I'm not joking, this is verbatim what he said to me. He just went, "Ha! Spaz nuts. I've got 5 kids."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like, my show was about destigmatizing infertility.
Yeah.
And also
there we go, the podcast dog's broken in.
And making people feel all right about talking about it.
Yeah.
And as I discovered as I kind of toured the show and would do this set of it and stand up, it did. It kind of, that kind of honesty was good.
No, that is nice.
But not that. That was rampaging, taking the... Just kick the gate open.
I think that priest maybe had some other problems as well, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I do quite want to hear what his jokes were.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I don't want to hear them.
They were at a print
probably.
Out.
Yeah.
So they weren't his. They were just obviously the most filthy things he's found on the internet.
Wait, so he printed out a set list?
So when he got up on the at the bus, he was like staggering down the front. He's just clutched in his hand was this printout. So he was going to read the joke. So he'd prepped it. It's like, so I don't know what they thought. They just probably thought they were kind of a comedy night or...
He's the comedy night?
Yeah, I think so. Like, let's dress up.
BYO comedy night?
There's so much to unpack.
I love, I'm from the country myself as well. Not Australian country, Scottish country, but you do get the country people, which are like, you take a lot of stuff for granted in the city where you're just like, this is what a show is. This is what everybody knows. But then people come in. I used to work at a pretty famous cabaret restaurant in Melbourne. We get a lot of people come in from the countryside and you're like, I don't think you've ever seen a live show before, let alone what this specifically is.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed by like the priest coming in with his own printed out jokes and what people think it's going to be. And I'm very happy he didn't say what he'd printed out as well, probably, because did you say this was 2006?
This was 2006.
Yeah, probably not the cleanest material in the world.
No,
and a bit of a different time then as well.
No, I'm with you though. I'm kind of fascinated by that behavioural.
Yeah. Look, if that priest is, still alive or a star or out there, please write in. I'd love to see if you still have that set list.
There's one last kicker to the story. So
far out.
Eventually, the bus. It's time to go.
Of course, you need to go home.
So I have to go home with them on the bus. I'm like, fucking hell. Anyway, we get there and the bus is about half full.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're kind of like making to leave, and there's no sign of any of the clergy. And we're talking about this was in the mountains.
Yeah.
And to get there, as we were driving along, Joe, my mate, was standing up the front next to the bus driver and directing him down like lonely country roads to pick up points.
Holy shit.
And people would just loom out of the darkness and get on the bus. There was one beautiful moment. This is again verbatim.
Yeah.
These two guys jump out of the darkness and start waving, and they're both immaculately dressed. Like,
wow.
Knotted scarves and designer jackets. And
very nice.
And Graham, the school secretary's husband.
Oh, yep.
He just goes, that's Leo the Poof to physio.
All right.
And then someone else goes, I thought he'd moved back to Sydney. And they went, no, he's got a new fella. And they've moved back. He's moved back. I think he's here most of the time, but maybe back and forth. Thinking, oh, right. And then someone just goes, that's good because my shoulder's fucked.
Fuck country towns, man. Everyone knows everyone's business.
So anyway, these two guys get on and just like parade down the middle of the bus like they're in a fashion shoot. So anyway, half the people aren't on the bus on the way back, and I'm with Owen.
Yep.
And he's cut but fun.
Yep.
And then the two single mums come and sit next to us. And
I'm glad that they've made it back on the bus at least.
So they're cut.
Yep.
Absolutely
okay.
cut. And start hitting on us.
Nice.
And Owen's pretty far gone, so he's kind of a little bit more,
Yep.
Oh, this is all right. And they kind of split up, and so I end up with the other one. And I'd spoken to her earlier, and she said they were quite lovely, but she's become quite amorous.
Oh, okay.
And she starts kind of rubbing up next to me in the seat.
Yep.
And thankfully, I wasn't on the window side; I was on the.
You could
And
escape
then
a little bit.
and she's like, I went, oh, look, yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
And then she just grabbed my crutch,
Wow.
had my entire tackle in her hand. She just went, I just want to feel your spaz nuts.
Oh, my God.
I wriggled out, went and sat down the back.
Jesus Christ. Tell you what, the beginning of that story, all the characters I heard, I did not think that she would
was
be
gonna
one
be
of
the
them.
kicker. That's right. Yeah. There's so many players in that story. You almost don't know which tributary to.
I mean, I almost feel like that could be a show in itself, is that one night as well.
I've only told that story once on stage, and because it's got so many moving parts and so unbelievable. So I have to kind of like set up the whole infertility thing for people who don't know that story, which is fine.
Yep.
So yeah, you almost like I've written it as a blog recently too, just to get it all out. And,
it's nice. Also, it's nice to write that stuff down because then you're like, I'm not going to forget any of this. Because like what you're saying, there's so many moving parts to that. Yeah. And it does sound like somebody's just making up a story from a night. Like,
it does, yeah.
You want to hear the most fucked story from any night ever. My friend's mates knew a comedian that once had a show like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impressive, don't get me wrong. And nice that everything kind of ended well.
Yeah,
well.
like as I said, great show.
Possibly
well, weirdly, I
sexual
bumped into
assault
both.
at the end.
I saw both Owen and Joe quite recently for the first time.
Nice.
Owen for the first time since that event.
Holy shit, right.
Like he's, we've had a whole
20-ish years.
Yeah, almost
15, 20,
years. And I got to speak to him a little bit, and then I was talking to Joe about it. And because, as a storyteller, because you keep telling the stories, it stays there.
Yeah.
And then some of the embellishments become part of the story.
Of course.
But there's genuinely like no embellishments in that story. There might be slight changing of the order.
Of course, yeah.
But
I don't know how.
But I was telling Joe, and he was like, "Oh my God."
He's just pushed that deep down inside. Yeah. I mean, fair enough as well, honestly. But I mean, God bless everyone from there and whatever that place that the priests and the nuns came from. But
Tambangalamba.
Yeah, there we go. It's a genuinely not terrifying story. I don't think that's the correct word, but like the fact that can happen with gigs as well. It's just like I don't know if you
and like you said, just no right to still work.
Yeah.
But I guess it speaks to the human condition that people just want to have fun. So,
exactly right, and there is that stigma with like country people as well. They're all just inbred idiots that don't want to.
Yeah, and I do
anything.
So much regional touring. It's kind of become my calling card to a degree. And I've had a few people saying to me recently, because everyone wants to know what you think of the Archbarker Baby in the Audience story.
Yep.
And, he had his reasons, and but we all as performers just want the gig to go well.
Of course.
And so sometimes it's not going to go well because of a thing like that. But also, someone said it to me the other day, and I can't remember the order of things. I think I just told the story of doing these. I've been doing these gigs for the National Disaster Emergency Agency,
nice.
going to disaster-affected communities
amazing.
and doing halls in the middle of nowhere. And these people generally sometimes haven't seen.
Exactly.
Gigs. And I talk about this on stage about the behaviours. And so you just have to modulate or moderate your expectations about. But still keep control. And I use my school teaching skills and I use my emceeing skills to make sure everyone's having a good time. But you can't be just going, I am not going on until that guy puts his pants back on.
Well, I mean, that is preferable, honestly.
Preferable. But like I've had times where, because they get for these gigs, they're getting a free feed. There's also counsellors there from
Oh, wow.
regional adversity mental health program. There's health-wise nurses there, rural financial counsellors.
Yeah.
Kind of like tables. And it's kind of like they're there.
Yep.
You can talk to them beforehand if you want.
Yep.
But the show generally opens people up and sometimes people literally signing emergency funding checks.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So it's a really interesting thing to be, the comedy is the lubricant.
Oh, of course, right?
And I do a lot of tailoring to the community. But like there was one night there were half the room were kids and there were kids in their pajamas and like just one on the stage just next to me just smashing the piano.
Oh, nice.
And another one just started attaching itself to my leg. The other's just playing chasey around the side.
Country kids, man.
Baby just screaming in a pram or someone's just kind of pushing it. But like not at the back of the room, right next to the stage.
Yeah, nice. Right next to the piano.
And I remember this day when all the kids ran around and I said, so whose kids are they? And I said, Bronwyn and Gary's. And the redhead's Terry's. But Penny's in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Right. So, are there any of them in the room? No, the others are in the pub.
Nice.
So who's babysitting? You are, mate.
Yep. That's what a lot of kids shows are as well.
Yeah.
It's just babysitting. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Those are like, especially in Australia though, because the regional towns are so far away from a lot of places. I think like that's so much more appreciated as people making the effort going out there.
Yeah.
So like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas like I'm from Scotland originally, where everything's relatively close by, still a lot of regional stuff, but you can get places a lot easier. Whereas like even just in Victoria, you live like a 5-hour drive away from civilization, quote unquote. So like actually having anyone go out there, and I mean all these kids have seen stuff online as well, like seen stuff on YouTube or whatever. So actually being able to see someone live for the first time must be mind blowing. To be honest,
old and young too.
Yeah, right. I suppose a lot of the older ones wouldn't as well. Yeah, a lot of them don't like to come into I got my one of my brother-in-laws. He hates coming to Melbourne. Very happy just staying out, Wangaratta away.
Yeah, right.
Living on the farm.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be around more than 4 people at a time.
Yeah.
And
so coming to them is very important.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. And they're incredibly appreciative.
And they're so grateful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you get the war stories from it.
You do. So. And they're always happy to come and have a little chat with you afterwards as well. For better or worse, sometimes, admittedly.
There was one on this. This was the last leg of the national emergency stuff I did.
Yeah.
Where, interestingly, like it was a heavily drought affected.
Oh wow.
Area. There was the long 8-year drought that kind of ended in 2020.
Yeah.
And it ended with big rain.
Yeah.
And they call it green drought.
Oh, okay.
So it's wet, but they're still probably 2 years away from getting the crop out.
Just on the topsoil rather than getting deep down into it.
Well, they've had to, So there's not strangely, there's actually more suicides during that period.
Really?
On the land, because the hope's been, it's rained. I'm still fucked.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have had to kill off their cattle.
Yep.
Or sell off their cattle. And so they've got the rain, but now they've got no stock.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of reasons for that. But anyway, we're performing in a place called Corinda. Corinda is renowned for being the town where they shot David Bowie's Let's Dance.
Oh, I've heard of this before. Yeah.
So they were looking for a pub with red dirt around it.
Yeah.
And so location scouts just found it. So the pub still exists.
Yep.
It's pretty rough and ready.
Yes, I've heard that
Town's
as well.
Pretty rough and ready.
Yep.
They now, since David Bowie's died, they actually have a Red Shoes Festival.
Oh, do they?
On the weekend of his birthday, I think.
Okay.
So the local pool, when you're driving to town, has just got red shoes tied to the cyclone fence.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's all sorts of random things like that. But we were miles away from festival time.
Yep.
Temporarily. Anyway, just for context, I suffer from quite debilitating kidney stone attacks.
Oh, wow.
And they come in packs. So so sometimes I'll have 4 or 5, and some you got to wait to pass. There's different ticks. Anyway, I knew I was sitting on one, for this whole tour.
Oh.
And it decided to come about half an hour before the gig.
Wow.
So I was sitting in the CWA meeting room, which was in the hall, and these shows I'm like doing Photoshop and stuff, ready for the show.
Yeah.
And I decide I'm not going to tell the producers because they'll just stop the show, or I'll just try and get through it. And sometimes with a kidney stone attack or renal colic, as they call it, it might pass. Like the stone might just move somewhere, but it kind of starts with like it feels like all the Hemsworths are holding one of your nuts.
Oh, and there's some strong boys.
There's some strong boys. Yeah. And then it's nausea.
Yep.
Because of the pain that's coming.
Of course.
And your body starts to basically your body's just trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, you're getting ready to give birth, essentially. Yeah.
So anyway, it had been raining there for about 3 days, so most people couldn't get off their land.
Right.
Because like you said, the top just gets wet. They can't
just
drive
sits
on it.
there. Yeah.
So most of the farmers couldn't come in, and so they were mainly townies or contract shearers who'd just been in a pub on the piss for 3 or 4 days because they couldn't work.
Yeah. All right. Yep.
So I'm painting the picture of what the audience was like.
Yep.
The room was kind of split. The farmers who could come in were on one side and were relatively well behaved, and the other side they weren't belligerent or anything. They were just like incomprehensible.
Right.
And so there was one guy in particular who just, I'd go, what'd you say, mate? And he'd go, "Hello," and then I'd go, all right, Trev, I've got no idea. And someone would go, oh, he said that his brother lives in Switzerland. I'm like, what? So they could speak Trev, but I couldn't. Yeah. So I was like getting the laughs out of like getting translations for him, but I just wanted him to shut the fuck up.
Well, I mean, I don't know what your show was about, but I don't know if you...
Oh, this was a stand-up show.
Oh, great.
Just bits and pieces.
You didn't need to know that Trev's brother lived in Switzerland.
Absolutely not.
Great.
No. Yeah, I didn't need to know anything that he said.
No, fair enough.
But you know when you kind of go, okay, this guy's the town drunk.
Yeah.
So I can't... And it's their town and their people, so they live with them, so you can't just destroy them.
No.
So I'm trying to deal with it, but he was just constantly agitating and making noise, and there were kids running around, and eventually I kind of got him under some control. But towards the end of the show, and all the while I'm feeling the kidney stone thing.
Of course, I forgot about that already. Yeah, right.
Kicking in, I'm getting the sweats up, and I'm just going, okay, got to get through the show. It's kind of my big finale is I do this stuff about dance floor behaviour, wedding dances. Which is great in the country.
Yeah,
I talk
for
about,
sure.
How people dance at country weddings and whatever. Anyway, then he just goes, I'm tired, how to dance. And next thing I know, Trev's up on the ground. I go, all right. He wants to dance. So I said, play it. So we put on Let's Dance.
Oh.
And then he starts just writhing on the ground. And
wow. Okay.
It was just pitiful. Like it was like, wasn't even funny. It was just like, oh mate, and the crowd's just kind of like, they're not laughing.
Oh, far.
So I just had to kind of like slowly pick him up and kind of got him, got him back to his seat. And they went, all right. So I got up on the stage. Then right, I'm just going to really. I went to get up on the stage, and he came back. He goes, go to the toilet.
Okay.
But as he said it, he just spat like Bundy and Coke in the face.
Oh, lovely.
Still COVID times, so I was like,
even better. Nice.
And then I think, all right, I'll keep going while he's in there.
Yep.
And then he's just in and then like country halls, they turn the front lights off, everything goes out.
Yep.
He's just like, I can't fucking say.
Oh, Trev.
So this is this man, Trev. I can't fucking say.
Oh, Trev.
So half the room go in to deal with him, and eventually he comes out. I finished the show. I remember as I walked off stage, I walked past the table of farmers.
Yep.
And I just overheard one of them go, "Is that it?"
Oh, fuck. It's those little comments which they don't expect you to hear can be some of the most... They cut the deepest, those ones.
So I walked past them in the CWA room, and I opened a door to a paddock.
Yep.
And I just projectile vomited.
Holy shit.
Because the pain turns into like full on nausea. So I then had to get driven like 120 or 30 Ks to to Walgett Hospital. And, thankfully, there was a nurse in the audience who was supposed to be on duty, but she'd swapped shifts with a friend.
Really?
Who had seen the show the night before in Walgett and said, "You've got to go. I'll take your shift for you so you can see it."
Wow.
So she came in to talk to me, and she goes,
Yep.
"All right, I'll bring you ahead to make sure that they're kind of ready for you." And so it was actually a blessing.
Yeah.
But I drove, so my producer, Sandy, was driving. It was a beautiful starlit, drizzly night. It was drizzle, but stars, like one of the weird nights. Wasn't it? You can just see the stars clearly, but there's rain.
Yeah, and it's not that heavy rain. It's like,
And, I said 3 things on the way. First was stop the car.
Yeah, okay.
Second was stop the fucking car.
Okay.
And the third was, these are the lengths you go to not stay at the Corinda Hotel.
Well, that doesn't sound like the best end to a gig, I'm going to be honest with you.
The nurse, though, when I got there, she started talking about the show.
Oh, that's
recognised
nice.
her. And she said, "Can I get a photo?" And I went, and by this stage, I'm on morphine.
Yep.
Like, fully. She was dope. She was really... She'd give me a little bit and go, "How's that?" And go, "I can still feel it." She just kept,
gonna need some
I don't
more.
know how much I was on, but I was in a good place.
Yeah.
And she came back. She had the show poster. It was in the tea room.
Wow.
So there's a picture of me in the Corinda Hospital, like glazed, pale,
Pupils the size of sauce plates, yeah.
staring into the distance with a nurse holding my
A poster
show
over your
Yeah.
almost unconscious body.
Yeah.
That's, I mean...
If I can find that photo, that should be the one that you put up on your...
Oh, that would be
page.
perfect. If we have that for the socials, that's going straight up there. I would love to see that, even just personally, honestly.
Just personally, yeah.
Yeah. We might start bringing the podcast towards a close, Damien. Do you have any other prepared stories you came in with? That you
No,
want
I
to
reckon
end
that's
with?
enough.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I feel like, except for maybe the last one, that wasn't the worst set of regional and corporate gigs I've heard. Like, except being assaulted by maracas and maybe sexually assaulted on a bus as well. Not ideal, I'll be honest, but I've heard worse. So I'm happy to hear that they weren't.
Oh, I'm glad I haven't traumatized you too much with my
and it's
trauma.
also just nice to hear that people haven't had like horrible experiences.
Yeah.
Bad experiences, yes, but not like life-changingly bad.
Yeah.
But we've got, I mean, a few bits coming up just now as well, coming out. Where can people find you? What have you got coming up?
My show, Unlikely Friends, which I did at the Melbourne Comedy Festival,
Yeah.
which is an improvised chat show in which 2 comic actor guests come on and play disparate characters from history, and I contrived their friendship.
Oh, love it.
So we did that. We did a season of that, and it's going to be released as a podcast.
Very nice.
Not sure of the actual release date, but we are doing 2 reprises as part of the Comedy Republic Replay Festival.
Oh, very nice. So a couple of
Not sure who
live
the guests are, but so
live recordings.
live recordings, and they're really good fun. So we had the likes of Will Anderson playing Ned Kelly to Gillian Cosgriff's Estee Lauder.
Oh, what?
one of the more unlikely friendships.
I was going to say too.
Yeah.
History friendships for the
Well,
books.
the aim is to find people that couldn't possibly be friends. And
Of course. I feel
throw
like
their work
most people in history couldn't possibly be friends. So,
Exactly,
yeah. So that's great. Do you know the dates for the live recordings?
Yeah, the live recordings are on Saturday the 27th of July and Saturday August 3rd.
Wonderful. They'll be in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Are you still touring Nuke just now as
No,
well?
Nuke's done.
Nuke's done.
I will be touring double feature later in the year.
Oh, very nice as well.
yeah.
If people want to stay up to date with you as well, you've got your website.
Website, and you can find me on Instagram.
Yeah, nice. This will all be in the show notes as well. Facebook, Twitter, you on there?
Barely.
Yeah.
Like a casual, distant observer.
I think that's probably the healthiest thing. Or not being on it at all. Which
Yeah,
I
I think
find
that's the
perfectly-
next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just cutting that umbilical cord, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chucking it all in the trash. And then I suppose the same as every week as well, you can find me on Instagram under Seb Muirhead. You won't be forgetting that pod across most of the socials. If you did like the show, review 5 stars would be lovely. Subscribe, tell a friend. Apart from that, I'm going to have to say thank you, Damien. Yeah, I think that's everything. I was just trying to remember my own closing to the show there.
That sounds good. It sounded professional until you doubted yourself.
Yeah,
to be
it was.
honest.
I'll be honest. I was still thinking about one of your stories. I genuinely.
Yeah, which one?
I'm baffled
Which
by
one's going to keep
the
you
priest
awake?
one.
The priest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that. I was just thinking about. As I went back, I just want to know what that set of jokes was. If I'm being honest with you.
All
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, sorry. Thank you so much again, Damian.
Well, next time I come on, I'll be that priest and I'll do that set.
If you can do that, actually,
that'd be
we'll
good.
have a little bonus live recording.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you want to get that priest up there during one of your live podcast recordings, he's a man from history.
He is.
He can be
My
best
history.
friends with I don't know, what's one of the greatest Aristotle, maybe?
Yeah, he's
Weird
right up
drunk
there.
priest
For
and
sure.
Aristotle.
and drunk priest from Damian Callinan.
Beautiful. I'm going to be there for that live show. Cheers, mate.
So yeah.